Kakalo Shavua Tov, Boker Tov. We are continuing Masechet Shekalim Daf Aleph 21a1. We just finished the last shiur by saying that Rabbi Yaakov Baracha and Rabbi Avhu, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, came and they said that the Dvar Torah, that the Mincha, right, had to be coming from the Tzibur, because it says Chok Olam. So Min Adin, it should have come from there. But they went and they instituted that it should come from Trumat Lishka, and they wouldn't come and take it from every single individual. Okay, that's what we said, right? That's how we finished off. Okay, that the mincha would come from the, from the Yoshim one by one, or it would have come from the Tzibur. And we said that they instituted that it would come from the Tzibur if the Kohen Gadol passed away. Okay, now we're starting the new part where it says Rabbi Yosa Amar. So this is going to be 2, 4, 6 lines down. Rabbi Yosa Amar. Rabbi Yosa Amar, Rabbi Yochanan Bayer. Rabbi Yochanan comes and he asks the following question. Mahu Shelema. What is the kavanah when we're going to bring a mincha Shlema v'asirita efan shachrit and Shlema ben arbaim, or Shlema b'shachrit u'betela ben arbaim, or they're going to bring the mincha asirita efa Shlema in shachrit and not at all ben arbaim. Which means like this: we know that the Kohen Gadol used to bring, right, the asirita efa solet. How do we bring it? Machatzitah baboker u'machatzitah ba'arev. Half in the morning and half in the afternoon. Meaning the Kohen Gadol used to bring a certain measurement. He used to split it up. Half in the morning, half in the afternoon. The question is, right, what's the kavanah of the Mishnah? Would they come and bring the asirita efa complete in the morning and a complete asirita efa also in the afternoon? Okay? Remember, we're talking about that the Kohen Gadol passed away. Yeah, and before they anointed another Kohen Gadol. Because if they already appointed another Kohen Gadol, the new Kohen Gadol brings it, right? So the Kohen Gadol passes away. They didn't appoint a new Kohen Gadol. And now the question is, what do they bring now? Do they bring a full, right, asirita efa in the morning and a full asirita efa in the afternoon? Or do they bring a full asirita efa in the morning and in the afternoon they don't bring anything? That's the question. So, kate pshitale. Now, if somebody's going to say that it's obvious and that you're going to bring a full one in the morning, a full one in the afternoon, dichtiv mincha tamid, because it's written that there's always have to bring tamid. Tamid means that you always have to bring the korban also as a mincha, which means in the afternoon as well. Shloshet lugin mahen, right? So he says, what about the case of the shloshet lugin, which comes with the korban mincha? Shloshet lugin, right? They used to bring 3 logs of oil. Remember that a log, if we have a revit is 86 milliliters or 150, depends on the machloket of Chaim Nai and Chazon Ish. That's a revit. A revit is a quarter of a log. So a full log, right? A full log, you would take, let's say, 150 just to make it easier, not because we pass it that way, but just to make it easier. 150 times 4 is 600 milliliters. So according to the Chazon Ish, 1 log is 600 milliliters. Now here you used to bring 3 logs, so 3 times 600 milliliters, which is 1.8 liters. They used to bring 1.8 liters of oil with the korban. Okay, 1.8 liters of oil with the korban. So the Gemara is now saying, "Ma'in shloshet lugim b'shachrit u'shloshet lugim ben arbaim, or logu mechza b'shachrit, logu mechza b'arbaim." So in 1 second, even if you're going to tell me, listen, for sure you still have to bring part of it in the afternoon, because it's written it has to be in the afternoon as well. But what about the oil? Does the oil also have to be in the afternoon, or can you bring the full amount in the shachrit, right? So or you do half. Okay. So Amar Rabbi Chizkiya says Rabbi Chizkiya, of hada tzrichale. Also in this question we have a doubt. Shne kumtzin. What about the 2 comets of frankincense that came with the mincha chavitin every single day? Mahen. What's halacha regarding them? Shne kumtzin. Do you have to bring 2 in shachrit and 2 in the afternoon, right? Because it's always going to be double. Or komet zacha b'shachrit, komet zacha b'arbaim, which means like this. One more time. You had the asirita efa. When the Kohen Gadol is around, you split it. Half in the morning, half in the afternoon. He dies. There's no replacement for him yet. So now the Gemara at the beginning said, well, how do you do it? Do you do a full one in the morning? Full, meaning that not the half, full in the morning and full in the afternoon. Or do you do full in the morning and then that's it? So the Gemara said, 1 second, you can't say that in the afternoon nothing because it says mincha also. So for sure you have to bring in the afternoon as well. So fine, says the Gemara, okay, fine. So according to you, for sure you have to bring also in the morning and also in the afternoon, but only the Kohen Gadol splits it up. Everyone else, we have to bring the full amount. So full in the morning, full in the afternoon. The Gemara now asks, what about the oil? Is the oil full in the morning, full in the afternoon, which means that you're going to bring a lot of oil, or do you split it up, half-half? So says the Gemara, you have the same question by the frankincense. They used to bring what's called the kmitza. Kmitza is you go like this, and you pick up the frankincense, levona. Right? So you pick it up in your hand, and now what's going to happen with this levona is that you're going to bring it with the korban. So now, do you do 2 komets in the morning and 2 komets in the afternoon? Because at the end of the day, you're bringing double than what usually Kohen Gadol brings. The Kohen Gadol brought 1 measurement. Let's just pretend to make it easier, 1 kilo. Or here in America, it's a pound, 1 pound. So now the Kohen Gadol would bring the 1 pound, but he would divide it, half a pound and half a pound. Here we just said that you're bringing 1 full pound, right? But we don't divide it. So now the same thing with the komets. You have to bring the 2 komets because at the end of the day, you're bringing double than usual. Right? Or do you bring 1 and 1? 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon? That's what the Gemara is asking. So the Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Yosef says Rabbi Yosef, Klum lamdu lekomets lo minchat chote. Says 1 second, the shiur of the komets, they learn it from another place, right? Not from the shiur of minchat chote. Ma lehalan, just like over there, any type of a mincha, you always need double the frankincense, which is 2 komets. So to here, you need double, which is 2 komets, right? 2 kmitzas. You need double. That's where we're learning it from. So says the Gemara, yeah, but 1 second, right? Okay, this is all in brackets, but basically he's pushing it off because he says, Mataman le, he says, 1 second, what's going on over here? It's not true, right? Why? Because just like there's a safek, there's a doubt over there, so to here there should be a doubt. But okay, it's in brackets. So now it says here like this. Amar Rabbi Chizkiah, it says Rabbi Chizkiah, Klum lamdu shlosha lugin lo mitamish b'ramayim. Didn't they learn the concept of bringing 3 logs of oil from the Tamid Sheberamayim, which is the afternoon service? We do mincha parallel to the Tamid Shel Ben Arbaim. Remember that the Korban Tamid, the constant korbanot, sacrifices, one was done in the morning and one was done in the afternoon. The morning one, we do shachrit. Shachrit is parallel to Tamid Shel Shachar. Mincha is parallel to Tamid Shel Ben Arbaim. So it says, Ma lehalan, just like over there, it's 3 logs, which means that there's no such thing as less than 3 logs, whether it's in Tamid Shel Shachar or Tamid Shel Ben Arbaim. So to here, if we're learning the same halachot, there should be never less than 3 logs, right? Also here. Just like over there, Rabbi Yochanan had a doubt to do the oil, which you're obligated to bring, right? So to here, it should be the same thing. What's the difference? Fine. So because of that, it comes out, right, that the Torah was actually teaching us that the Torah did learn it mifurash explicitly from there, but the frankincense, it wasn't written mifurash in the Torah, so that's why they had the doubt, okay? And that's why it's still a safek by them. Okay, fine. 2 dots. Okay, we're almost finishing the perek, right? It says, Shelo yiyu, right? They instituted on the paraduma that there's not going to be mi'ilah in the effort of the paraduma. Remember that mi'ilah means you're not allowed to benefit from kochim. That's called mi'ilah. If you're going to benefit, it's called mi'ilah. You have to bring a korban for it, okay? So says the Gemara, Rabbi Shmuel ben Nachman, Shem Rabbi Yonatan, says Rabbi Shmuel ben Nachman and Rabbi Yonatan, Bedina yashi maluba, behen gazru shelo imaluba. It was mi'ikar the din Torah, there is mi'ilah in Efer Paraduma. Meaning in the ashes of the Paraduma, remember the ashes of the Paraduma, they used to burn the Paraduma, and the ashes, they used to use it to purify people that were tamemet, that were people that were impure from the dead people. So for example, if a person goes to the cemetery to become tameh, they never become pure unless they get ashes of the Paraduma. So we are all tmeim. It doesn't help going to the mikveh, doesn't help nothing. The only thing that helps is the Paraduma being sprinkled on us on the 3rd day and the 7th day and so on and so forth. So since we don't have that, that's, by the way, why there's an isur to go to the Temple Mount nowadays. You're not allowed to go to Har HaBayit. Why are you not allowed to go to Har HaBayit? And that's the consensus of the poskim, Ashkenazim, Sfaradim, Rav Uvadia, Rav Elyashiv, everyone. They all hold it's karet. If a person goes up to the Temple Mount today, since we are tamem met, which means that we became impure because of a dead body, and we weren't sprinkled with the paraduma, we pashut, the person is chayav karet. You know what karet is? They get cut off, right? Huh? How do they go? Some people, they go because they say, no, that there's no problem. The consensus of the poskim is that it's a sul. There are some activists nowadays that they try to go up and they try to bring sacrifices and they try to, they know all the halachot and they know everything and they know. The Gdolim said, don't do it. You always have to be mainstream. You know, there's always the fanatics, you understand? And then they try and then there's the machlokot to come. Because then, you understand, then... So they went and they made a decree that there's no milah in the effort of the paraduma. Ta'atani, but we learned, chatat milamed, right, milamed shemoalim ba. Says 1 second, but when it says that it's a chatat by the paraduma, there is milah because it says chatati. So that word is coming to you that there is milah. Ba moilim ve'moilim beifrad. No. So basically, the Gemara is coming to try to say 1 second, right? We learned mifurash in a pasuk that since it says chatati, you only have milah in the chatat and the sacrifice, but not in the ashes. So if you don't have the chatat and the ashes, so then what's the problem? Which means that mina Torah, there is no milah in the efir of the paraduma. Why did you tell me mina Torah there is, but the rabbis instituted there's not? Mina Torah there's not, because you come to exclude it. So says the Gemara, Rabbi Yavu, says Rabbi Yavu, but Ishona hayu mishtakshekin ba. By the beginning, they were mizalzel in it. And they used to put it on top of their wounds in order to cure. The gazrushi maluba, right? And then they went and they made a decree, which means this. Mina Torah, there's no milah. You could actually use the effort of the paraduma, and you won't have to bring a korban. It's not that lechatchila you're allowed to do it, but if you did it, there's no milah. That means you didn't benefit from property which belonged to Ekdesh. But what happened? All of a sudden, there were a lot of people that they used to come. They used to have a wound. The ashes they used to put on the wounds. So they used to use it as a cure. It wasn't now that it was used as a sprinkling to purify people. They were using it for personal usages. So the rabbis went and they instituted milah. But it was the rabbis that instituted milah, not the Torah. From the Torah, there's no milah. The rabbis instituted milah. Once the people stopped using it, so then then they said again that there's no problem with milah. Why? Because remember, the rabbis will only make a decree if they saw the necessity for it. If there was no necessity to make the decree, the rabbis are not here just to stop make decrees. It's only if they saw the necessity, that's when they did it. Fine. Shnei kinin, ve'ala kinin, we're talking about the kinin, which are psulim, so it comes from the tzibur. Haisha azot b'ma nitkaberet. Ask the Gemara, a woman that she came and she put the money in the shofar in order to bring the ken for her atonement. If they're not going to bring it at the end from her money, so where's the atonement? Some Rabbi Yitzchak says, Rabbi Yitzchak, Tanai Betini, so it's Tanai Betin. HaMesapek et HaKinim, Mesapek et HaPsulo et HaOvdot. It's Tanai Betin. And therefore, since it's Tanai Betin, she does fulfill her obligation because of the condition of the Betin, and the people that were giving the birds, they were the ones that had to supply it as well, and therefore, since it was a Tanai Betin, she does get her atonement, even though it's not coming from her money anymore. We just finished the chapter of money that was found. We're starting now the 8th chapter, Perek Shemini. Okay, Kaf Aleph Amud Aleph towards the bottom. Mishnah, Halacha Aleph. Kol harukin hanimtzeim b'Yerushalayim teorim. All the rock, okay, that is found in Jerusalem, right? It's going to be tahor. It's going to be pure, which means that we're not going to suspect that it belongs to a zav or a zava or anybody else that's tameh. We go after the majority of rock, right? Rock is phlegm, saliva. Imagine you find saliva on the floor. Nowadays, it's not common. You understand? Anyway, it's either going to be dirt floor, it's going to be. But in the olden days, right, they used to take out phlegm and then you would see it on the floor. You understand? And they would do it even in holy places. You understand? There's a question in the Bet HaMikdash and this, that, and or Bet HaKnesset. They would speak about it. You understand? About what are you supposed to do? But you would have to cover it over, so on and so forth. Huh? Yeah, they didn't have to cover. It was very difficult. You understand? So covering it. What are you going to do? Nowadays, a person has. They go to the washroom. Come on, huh? Yeah, they would do it on the ground, and that's it. So now you found it on the floor. Is that saliva pure or impure? So it all depends where the saliva came from. If that phlegm came from a zav, right, that means basically a male that has a sickness, or a zava, a woman that has a sickness, or anybody else that's tameh, so then it's tameh. So now you found phlegm on the floor. So we say that if it's in Jerusalem, we're going to say it's pure. Why? We go after the majority of the people. They're pure. Except for the shuk elyon, a certain shuk in Yerushalayim, that there were a lot of people that they were tameh. Right? There was a shuk, there was a marketplace. In that marketplace, it was known that there were a lot of impure people there. He said, it all depends. Even nowadays, there's certain shuks, so you already know you don't go to this place. You understand? There's a certain marketplace. Huh? Yeah. So he says, these are the words of Rabbi Meir. Which one? Yeah, we saw it a few times. Yeah. These are the words of Rabbi Meir. So these are the words of Rabbi Meir. Okay? Rabbi Yosef says, during the rest of the year, which is basically other than the Shalosh Regalim, it all depends. If it's in the middle of the road, it's probably going to be tameh. If it's on the side, it's going to be tahor. Okay, why? Because basically it says the people that are pure, they don't want to become tameh, so they always go on the side of the roads. And the people that are tameh, they don't care, they go in the middle. Okay, but during the regalim, the middle is pure, and on the sides it's going to be tameh. Because since they are tameh, they go on the sides, which means like this. During Shalosh Regalim, there's so many people in Yerushalayim, so therefore all the people that are going in the middle, they're pure. If a person's already tameh, he's going to try to be careful to go on the sides of the roads. If it's during the rest of the year, they don't care. They go in the middle of the road. So the people that are pure go to the side of the road. So it all depends which part of the year it is, where it is. All the utensils which are found in Yerushalayim, if they're on the way going down to the mikveh, right, to mean. Why? Because it means that they were going down to go to the mikveh, to purify them. And maybe they put it down and they forgot it there, or whatever it is, and therefore it's tameh. But if it's on the way back up from the mikveh, it's going to be pure. Right? Because it's not the same derech, meaning that according to Rabbi Mean, these words are Rabbi Mean, it wasn't the same path. Meaning they used to make like one-way streets. You want to go down to the mikveh, this is the way down. Up, the way up. And that used to alleviate the flow of traffic, right? Of even people walking. So therefore they always used to make only walking in one direction, right? Which makes sense. I'm saying they do that in a lot of places also, even by walking, not only just by cars. You understand? They do it. Why? It makes it much easier, because if not, they're crashing into each other, especially when there's a lot of people, right? It's very narrow, or even without being narrow. Imagine that you've got tons of people coming in one direction, and people coming, they bump into each other, you understand? That's how the pickpockets, how they do such a good job in New York and other places. There's hundreds and thousands of people walking the same street, and all of a sudden they come and they bump into you, ki'ilu, but they already just took your wallet and you didn't even realize. But they do it so professionally. So, but they have to come from the opposite direction. And they have to do it such a way that, boom, they just took it and you didn't even realize. And ki'ilu, they bumped into you. I'm sorry. Continue. They just, they got everything that you just said, you understand? So they used to do it, according to Rabbi Meir. One-way traffic. Yeah? Rabbi Yosef says, Chulam teorim, all the utensils are pure. Chutz, why? Because according to him, he says even the one on the way down, because they never made a decree in Yerushalayim, except for the salva, except for, right, the things which are used for utensils for dead people. Meaning the utensils which are used to gather, whether it's the bones or to do, those things are for sure impure, because that has to do with the dead bodies. But other than that, everything was always going to be pure. Sakin shenitzia barbasa. When you have a sakin of shchita, so imagine you have a knife of shchita that was found on the 14th of Nisan, which that's the time of the shchita to Pesach. Shocheb ba miyad. So you're going to immediately come and slaughter the korban Pesach. Bishlosha asar, it's going to be the 13th of Nisan. Shoneu matbil. So they're going to come and they're going to do the tevilah. Kofitz, right, which is basically a big knife. Okay? Bazeu vazeh, whether it's found on the 14th of Nisan or the 13th of Nisan, shoneu matbil. Yeah, so they're going to come, and since the korban Pesach, you're not allowed to break it. So then you're not allowed to break the bones. Remember that. If the 14th of Nisan came out on Shabbat, shocheb b'miyad. So you're allowed to do it immediately, because for sure, right, the owners, they did tevilah before Shabbat. So therefore, you don't have to wait or anything. You could do it immediately. Okay? Kaf Aleph Amud Bet, finishing the Mishnah. Right, on the 15th, if they found it, shocheb b'miyad. Nimtzia keshura l'sakin. If it's tied, this kofitz is tied to the sakin, it has the same laws as the sakin. So if the knife is a certain halacha, the kofitz was a certain halacha. So the kofitz was for the breaking of the bones, right? It was a different type of a knife. Fine. Says the Gemara, Kafalef Amubet 21b. Okay, Rabbi Yavim b'shem Rabbi Shom Levi. Says Rabbi Yavim name Rabbi Shom Levi. Katzran shel Nochrim Hayasham. Do you know that there was in the Shuk Elyon, there was a certain place that he used to wash the clothing of Goyim. So for the Goyim, they went and they made a halacha that the Goyim are like Zavim for everything. So because of that, they contaminated everything. There was a certain dry cleaners. So because of that, he was all for the Goyim. So because of that, they contaminated everything. Amar Rabbi Chanina, says Rabbi Chanina, Arodot ayuno charin la'arayo b'Yerushalayim. Do you know they used to kill in Yerushalayim an arod. An arod is like a wild donkey, in order to give them to the kings to the lines of the kings. The people that were going up to Aliyah L'Regel, they would go into the blood until their knees. And they didn't say anything. Okay, so this is the bloods of the donkeys, that they were killing all these donkeys in order to give it to the lions in order to eat them, right? And they didn't say anything. So there was a story with the animal, the mule of Rebbe, the house of Rebbe, that it died, and they cured its blood. Right? Why? Because they said that it's not tameh because of a nevilah. Dam nevilah is tahor. Okay, the blood of a nevilah is an animal that dies without the shechita. It's tahor. Rabbi Lazar Shail Rabbi Simon comes Rabbi Lazar, and he asked Rabbi Simon, Ad kama, until when do we say that the blood is going to be pure? So he says, Velo agiveh. So he didn't answer him. So Shaili Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, he asked Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, Amalei, he comes and he says, Ad Revit tahor. Until a Revit, it's going to be pure. Yoter miken tameh. But more than that, it's going to be tameh. Uva'ash le Rabbi Lazar de lo chazal le. So he was upset at Rabbi Lazar that he didn't answer him in an answer. Rabbi Simon Shmuata, and he paskin like Rabbi Lazar. Okay, and therefore he didn't say it that with the Revit is going to be tameh. Okay, fine. Rav Bevai was sitting down and he taught this. Ya Amal Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Bisna, says Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Bisna, Ad Revi'it Tahor, Yoter Mikan Tameh. He says until a Revi'it it's going to be pure. More than that, are you going to say it's going to be Tameh? Right? So he says Ubat Be. So he kicked him, as if to say. Yeah? That means he pushed him off. He didn't want to answer him. That's what it means that he was not literally kicked him, but basically he didn't want to answer. So Amal Rabbi Zreka, says Rabbi Zreka, what? I'm asking a question, that's why you're upset? Amarle, he says, right? He says, what? You know why I didn't answer? Because I was tarud. Once in a while, if we don't answer a question, it's not because of bechavana. It's just that we don't have the head now to start answering, in a sense. So right now, you would have to look into it. I don't have the koach. So I just say that's it. I'm not going to give you the answer. So because of that, you're going to start going crazy. Amar Rabbi Chanin, but says Rabbi Chanin, we learned this already as well. Which means like this. There are three different people in the klalot which are brought down in the tochacha. In the curses there, it's brought down that a person that does not have land to plant, which means that even though he's buying for the entire year produce, he's still always thinking what's going to happen next year. Upachata laila v'yomam is that he only has money to buy little by little, because he cannot have. So every single day he's thinking, what happens if the price goes up? Imagine, I don't have the money right now to come and start buying for the entire year. So what happens if tomorrow or next month they're going to pick up the price? I don't know what I'm going to do. Then you're not going to believe in your life that somebody that doesn't have enough money, he's only buying for today. He doesn't even know what he's going to eat tomorrow. That means the first case was he already bought the produce for the entire year. So he's got an entire year, right? Everything. The second case was not that he's got the entire year, everything. The second case was, right, that he says is that he's got money, but he has to buy day by day, but, right, he doesn't know what's going to happen next month, what's going to happen later on. The third one is he doesn't even have money for tomorrow. He's day by day, he's paying. So such a person, so he's saying, I'm somech on that. They're not able to learn properly because they're always worried what's going to happen tomorrow. So they're not learning properly. So what do you want from them? My kedon, right? What does it mean kedon over here, right? Like achshav. He says it's going to be pure, even more than a revit. So even if you have more than revit of blood, it's going to be pure, the blood of a nevela. Okay. What does it mean? Ma'u tahor. What does it mean that it's tahor? Tahor means lachshid. It's pure, that it's not going to be machshid. About letameh, it does become tameh. Remember, there's two different concepts. There's lachshid and letamot. Letamot means to impurify. To impurify, it does impurify. It's more than a revit. Lachshir means is that does it make something else susceptible for tumah? Remember that certain things, in order to become tameh, has to become susceptible for tumah. So that's what you need. Taman taninan over there we learned dama sheretz kivsaro. The blood of a sheret is like the flesh. Metameh veno machshir, but it's not going to be machshir. Ve'en lanu kaytzeba, but we don't have anything else like that. So the Gemara says, what are you talking about? Ve'en lanu kaytzeba keshiur tumato, aval damo metameh kivsaro. The blood is metameh, just like the flesh. So Rabbi Yosef says, there's a machlok between two different amoraim. One of them says tameh, one of them says tahor. Man damar tameh, the one that says tameh is like Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, that according to Rabbi Yehuda, he says that dam nevela is tameh. The man damar tahor, he holds like Rabbi Shomim Torah, that he says that it's going to be tahor even more than a revit. So Amalei Rav Avduma de min Nechuta, says Rav Avduma from Nechuta. V'yaut Rabbi Yehuda Moriana de Benesiava. He says, do you know that it's actually going to be good that we said that it's going to be tameh according to Rabbi Yehuda, because he says Rabbi Yehuda was Moreh Odah in the Bet HaNasi, and therefore we said that he was the one that was paskening in Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, and therefore he said it was going to be tahor even though it was more than a revit. Okay, 2 dots. Kol harokin, all the phlegm, right, or the saliva in Yerushalayim is going to be tahor, we said, except for the shuk alyon. Lo ken amar Rabbi Yahu b'shem Rabbi Yosef Chanina. Not that this is not like what Rabbi Yahu said in the name of Rabbi Yosef Chanina. Lo gazur lo lukit Yerushalayim, that they never made any decree whatsoever on Yerushalayim. That means even in the shuk alyon. Meaning, according to the Shita, even in this marketplace, it was still pure. So says the Gemara, Hayit Manala was stated, no. Rabbi Avim Shem Rishon Levi, Katzran Shel Nochrim Hayasham. No, there was a goy that he was a launderer over there, and therefore they made that it was Tameh. Okay, they made it over there Tameh. B'Shar Yemot HaShana, the rest of the year, Hatmim Malchin Shibolet. They used to go in the middle of the road. The Teorin used to go on the sides of the roads. Malchin Stam. The Teorin Omrim Lahem Proshu. He used to ask them, right? Don't make us Tameh. But the Shat Regel, during the time of the Regel, Torim Malchin Shibolet, Vatmim Malchin Minatzad. Torim Malchin Stam. Vatmim Omrim Lahem Proshu. Go on the side because maybe you're going to become Tameh. So basically, it all depends on what was going on. As it say, during the Aliyah Regel, there were so many people; they were all pure because there's a mitzvah to purify yourself for the Regel. So everyone, they were extra careful to become pure. So because of that, the pure people will walk in the middle, and the other ones would be on the side. Which one? Yeah, it's like a thing, a yarok, exactly, where that you're able to walk. Yeah, very good. All the utensils which are found in Yerushalayim, so it all depends whether it's going down or going up. So look at Amar Rabbi Yavu. He says, 1 second, didn't Rabbi Yochanan say, Rabbi Yavu said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, that all the utensils are going to be pure in Yerushalayim? He said, no. The fact that it's found on the way down to do tevilah, to purify them, so that's already like a hochacha, it's like a proof that it was impure. Meaning, if you're just going to find the utensil, it's pure. But if you find the utensil on the way down, going down to the mikveh, it means that they want to take it to the mikveh. So that's why it's impure. Okay? Abba Shaul Yakoreh Otan Tziporim. He used to call them Tziporim. Velo Meritza. What is this? Tziporen. Okay. Mandamar Tziporin, according to Mandamar Tziporin, because it was compared to the Tziporin, which is the tseva of a human being, the Tziporin, right? That is very, very sharp. Mandamar Meritza, according to the Mandamar, there was Meritza. He said, Meritza et ha'even li bet hakvarot. But they used to come and they used to sharpen out the stones for the bet hakvarot, for the tombstones. That's why it was called the Tziporin or Tziporin. Like a Tziporin are nails. Okay? Kofitz. Tani saking shura la'arez kumotasa. Anything which is tied to the kofitz is the same halacha to it. Okay? Fine. Halacha bet. Right? The second Mishnah. Okay? On Kaf Aleph Amud Aleph, it's the first Mishnah there, but there's another two. There's halacha bet and halacha gimel. So halacha bet. Parochet shenitmet bivlad tuma. When you have a parochet which becomes tameh bivlad tuma, matbilin ota bifnim. They're going to be matbilin on the inside. Machnisin ota miyad. So what happens is you have a parochet, right, that becomes a rishon letuma. Vlad tuma is a rishon letuma. Remember, there's a concept of avi avot tuma, which is a dead person. There's a concept of avatuma. Avatuma is either a creepy crawler, right, that died, or a human being that touched the dead person. He becomes an avatuma. Then after that, when they touch, let's say, utensils or things like that, so that becomes a rishon letuma. So that's called like vlad. Vlad is like a child of the tuma. So a child of the tuma means a rishon letuma. So this rishon letuma is a parochet. The parochet gets touched by somebody that's, let's say, an avatuma or by a creepy crawler. Matbilin ota bifnim. So they're going to do tevilah in the mikveh, which is inside of the Azara and the Bet HaMikdash. Okay? Umachnisin ota miyad. And then, right, if they did it outside of the Azara, they bring it in immediately. Okay? V'nitmet be'avatuma. But if it's going to become tameh with an avatuma, mambilin ota mibachutz. They have to do the tevilah outside of the Bet HaMikdash, because you have to send it outside of the Bet HaMikdash. V'shotchin ota, and then they spread it out in order to dry. B'chel, in the chel, there's a place in the Harabait, right? But that it's not holy though. Because you need Erev Shemesh. If it was new, they used to put it on the Itztaba of Harabait, right, which is very high up, so everyone could see it. So everyone would see, look how beautiful it is. It's a new parochet. Okay? Rabban Shimon Gamliel Omer Shimon ben Sagan says Shimon Gamliel in the name of Shimon Sagan, parochet of tefach. The thickness of the parochet was 1 tefach, was 8 centimeters. So that's a thick. You know what that is? We're talking about the thickness of a curtain. The thickness of this curtain was 8 centimeters. Yeah, that's like a fist. You know, that's very thick. Okay. Al shivim u'shtayim nivim nereget. Right. So on 72, bateri guy was needed. It was not needed, weaved. Nereget al kol nima v'nima 24 chutin, and every single one had 24 strings. Orka 40 amot. It was 40 amot length. You know what 40 amot length is? Every amah is half a meter. So 20 meters. You know what 20 meters is, yeah? Think how long that was. 20 meters. Yeah? Orka 40 ama, v'rochba, and the thickness was 20 amot. Umishmonim ribo, and from 820,000 golden coins it was made out of. Haita nasit. Ushtayim osin bechol shana. They used to make 2 per year. You heard that? They used to switch 2 per year. Ushloshmeot kohanim matpilin. They needed 300 kohanim to put it in the mikveh. It was so big, they needed 300 kohanim to do tevilah on it. Right? So, okay, sometimes they say that 300 might be a little bit mugzam. Once in a while, they actually say that sometimes it's a little bit of an exaggeration, but they needed, think about it. You know what it is? The parochet. Just pretend, just how you should understand. In the Hechal, we have the parochet where you take out the Sefer Torah. That's called the parochet. So the parochet used to divide between the Kodesh HaKodashim and the Hechal, the curtains. Right now, so first of all, we talk about the thickness, how thick it was. And we talk about the length. The length was 20 meters. You know 20 meters here? 20 meters is, let's say, from the door here, probably almost until the end of the synagogue. Yeah? Something like that. Think about it. Yeah, every we're talking about 20 meters. Yeah?
There's a room.
Yeah, 20 meters. Yeah. No, something like that. Maybe a little bit less. Maybe halfway down. You understand what I'm talking about? But 20 meters. We're talking about the...
It was like horizontal. Like
it was a wall, but it was all one long piece. So imagine if that became impure. Imagine how many kohanim would need to come and carry that in order to dip it in the mikveh. So the Gemara says, Kafalef Amud, yeah, Kafalef Amud Bet. Okay, says the Gemara. Yeah, Ilu Amar Chut. Right? If it would have been written Chut, so then that's Chut Echad. Right? But if it would have said Kafun, I would have said Shnaim. Shazur, Shlosha. Moshzar, Shisha. Right? Right? So when it says over here, once it says Moshzar, the Shisha. Now it says, right, all of them. Because basically, what does it say? It's since it says Moshzar, and there's 4 different types of threads. There's Techelet Argaman, Tolat Shani, Vashesh, which is Pishtan, which is linen. Right? So you have the blue wool, the crimson wool, all these things. So you have 4 types of threads. 4 types of threads, and it says Moshzar. Moshzar means that it's 6 times. Meaning, if I'm going to say a chut is 1 thread. If I say kaful, it's two threads intertwined. When I say shazur, that's like tzitzit. You know the tzitzit in itself. Sometimes when they unravel, did you realize that there's a lot of threads there? It's not 1 thread. Yeah, there's like 8 into 1, and they. So this is into 6 because it says moshzar. So now you have 6, but there's 4 different threads. So 4 times 6 is 24. So mikan had 24. Tani, we learned it was actually 32, not 24. It says why? If it would have said chut, it's 1. If it says kaful, it's 2. If it says shazur, it's 4. Moshzar, it's 8. Right? But now, if it's 8, that means according to this shita, moshzar means 8. So 8 times 4 is 32. Mikana, right? Utrain, 32. Third shita, Tana 48, it's 48. It's not 32 and it's not 24. It says why? If it would have been said chut, it's 1. Kaful, it's 2. Keli'ah is 3. Shazur is 6. Moshzar is 12 because it's double the shazur. So then it's 4 times 12. So 4 times 12 is 48. Okay, so these are the different shitot. Katuv echad omer, one of them pasukim say, it says maaser rokem. The katuv echad omer, one of them says maaser choshev. Maaser rokem, partzuf echad. Maaser choshev, shtem partzufot. So is it 1 face or 2 faces, basically? And we're going to explain now. Right? One of them says, on one side it looked like a lion. On the other side it was completely chalak. That means on one of the sides you had, and by the way, that's why there's a lot of the parochot, if you actually look at them, they have like pictures of lions. Why do they have lions? This is the parochet. In the Bet HaMikdash, you have the lion. Okay? So it said, right, Ari mikan v'chalak mikan. Right? It doesn't actually explain why there was a lion, but that's what it's saying. It was an Ari on one side, and the other side there was nothing. Maaseh choshev, Ari mikan v'ari mikan. He said, no, there was a lion on both sides. The Charna Amar, and the other one says, Maaseh rokem, Ari mikan v'ari mikan. Maaseh choshev, Ari mikan, v'nesher mikan. It was a lion on one side and an eagle on the other side. Usually we loosely translate it as eagle. Some people say it's a different animal, but basically they were the kings of the animals. The lion is the king of the wild animals, and the eagle is the king of the birds. Right? That's what the concept is. Okay? Fine. The 2 dots. It says, it was made with 300. It was done with 820,000 people, but then it was 820,000 golden coins, but then you needed 300 kohanim to do the tevilah. Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Bizna b'shem Shmuel. Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Bizna says the name of Shmuel. Guzma. It's an exaggeration. Okay, Taman Tanina, we learned over there. Yeah, sometimes they had 300 kur of Efer. Yosef ben Rabbi Bun b'shem Shmuel Guzma. Again, it was also an exaggeration. Because every single morning they used to come and they used to take from the ashes and they used to put it by there. So he says it's an exaggeration as well. Okay, so sometimes, when they give too big of a numbers, it's an exaggeration. Fine, Mishnah Halacha Gimel. Okay, we're just going to start the Mishnah, right? And we'll finish the Mishnah as well. We start the Mishnah on Kafalef Amud Bet on the bottom. When you have meat of Kodesh Kodashim that became Tameh, Ben be'avatuma, ben vlad tuma. Doesn't matter whether it's avatuma or the vlad tuma, ben mifnim, ben bechutz, whether it's on the inside or the outside. Bet Shammai Omrim, Bet Shammai says, Akol yisaref, right? Everything has to be burnt, right? The basar has to be burnt on the inside. Chutz mishenitma be'avatuma b'chutz. If it was contaminated with an avatuma, it has to be done on the outside because the halacha is you have to send it out the outside of Bet Hamikdash. Bet Hillel Omrim, Bet Hillel gives another shita. Hakol yisaref b'chutz. Everything has to be burnt on the outside, except for shenitma b'vlad tuma, that it's going to be on the inside. Okay, but if it's going to be nitma b'avatuma, everything has to be done on the outside anyway. Okay, that means you take it out immediately. Okay, or if it was done already contaminated on the outside, the same thing. Okay, says Kaf Bet Amud Aleph on the top, a third shita. Rabbi Eliezer says shenitma b'avatuma. If it's going to be contaminated b'avatuma, whether it's on the inside or the outside, yisaref b'chutz. It's going to be burnt on the outside. Shenitma b'vlad tuma. If it's going to be contaminated b'vlad tuma, b'mechutz b'fnim, yisaref b'fnim. It's going whether it's going to be on the inside or the outside. It's going to be burnt on the inside. Fourth shita, Rabbi Kiva says, Mekom tumato, sham srefato. The place of the tuma, that's where they're going to come and they're going to burn it. There's a picture, there's a chart on the bottom. You guys just want to look at it. There it's explaining to you all the different shitot over there. Okay, so if you have it there in the art school, it's good to see. Just the four, we'll go over it again tomorrow morning, right? The shita, Bet Shammai, Bet Hillel, Rabbi Eliezer, and Rabbi Kiva, to do the avatuma, vlada tuma on the inside, outside, the machlokot, exactly what's going on. Have a wonderful day, everyone.